Welcome to another episode of Never Again Is Now. I'm Phyllis Zimpler Miller, and my co-host Evelyn Marcus is not with us today, but we do have with us a very special guest. But let me begin by saying that as Israeli government Ilan Levy said in a presentation in Israel recently, it is the responsibility of Jews in the diaspora to fight the war on the media front. And today our special guest, Marcus Fried, is going to talk about how creatives can do that. He is an actor, writer, filmmaker, author, Jewish educator, and business marketing consultant who founded the Jewish Filmmakers Network. Welcome, Marcus.
Thank you very much, Phyllis. Great to be here.
So let's start with the obvious question. Why did you start with the Jewish Filmmakers Network, and when did you start it?
It's a great question. Last year in early 2023 at Sundance Film Festival, I wanted to find a way to bring together Jewish filmmakers. So my dear friends Rabbi Yonah and Rebbetzin Rachel Bookstein run an event every year at Sundance called Shabbat Lounge, which is part of their broader activities with Pico Shul and Shabbat Tent. And it's a space for Jews to come throughout Shabbat. So got some separate funding, and I brought together, we had a sold out room of 75 filmmakers came along. And there is a Talmudic phrase that the cure comes before the illness. So God provides a cure before the illness. And so when October the 7th happened, I immediately saw the opportunity to gather together Jewish filmmakers, initially in Los Angeles, bring people together, look at how we could create material to counter anti-Semitism using artistic skills. And then that quickly led to a bigger writers group, Hollywood writers, film writers, screenwriters coming together in LA through Jewish Impact Films, an organization we're connected with, more LA meetings, then had a meeting in London, then we did one remote for New York, then we did another one at Sundance, which I'll tell you about afterwards this year, which is completely different. And then we just had another one in LA, and we've got more coming up, New York, London, like all kinds of stuff is happening. So it's powerful time, and now is the moment.
So tell us about Sundance this year.
So this Sundance was very different because firstly, we're now in a period of explicit anti-Semitism, albeit the intellectual kind, which says, I'm just against Israel, I'm not against Jews. And the lies that are being perpetrated primarily by the left, but nonetheless, they are being perpetuated. And as a result, now Jews within the industry are feeling more isolated, alone than ever, and discovered that a lot of our friends hate us, or the people who we thought were friends.
Yes.
Even if they say, no, it's okay, I'm just anti-Israel, but some of my best friends are Jewish. Like, okay. So we harnessed this year with a change in direction, and this has happened over the last few months. So I've been using the phrase filmmakers against anti-Semitism. I don't like going this negative marketing when people do it, but it speaks to people when you say, well, this is what we're against. And particularly in the light of what's happened in America in the last 4 years. I was living in Los Angeles during the BLM riots, the Antifa protests. And so we've seen the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, trans rights and so on, or Stop Asian Hate. So it made sense to continue this languaging rather than calling it Jewish Filmmakers Network, which is the organization I'm running, but specifically Filmmakers Against Anti-Semitism. Because you can't really disagree with it. I mean, you can disagree with it, but if you say, no, I'm a filmmaker and I'm not against anti-Semitism, it's like, all right, well, we'll sponsor your trip to Germany. Actually, Germany is probably a bad example because they're one of the few countries who are currently supporting Israel. However, exactly. You get the point. So this year at Sundance, it was interesting. There was
can you tell us, for people who don't know when Sundance is, give us a one sentence. It was in January, and where Sundance is?
So Sundance was one of the original film festivals for independent films. What really defines an independent film as opposed to a normal mainstream film is it's been self-funded. People have gathered together. It's not been produced by one of the major movie studios, MGM, Warner, Fox, etc., Sony. So it was for independent film makers, set up by Robert Redford after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and it was a sort of small put together festival. Now it's very corporate, very expensive, very professional. Major deals are happening, very hard to get into. And it's great. It's a really amazing spot. It takes place in Park City in Utah, around a 40-minute drive, half-hour drive from Salt Lake City. And you have a ton of screenings. There's another more independent festival there at the same time called Slam Dance. And so you get people who've really made an effort to be there. As I say, it's expensive to get to. It takes work. So there's a certain caliber of filmmaker who are in a position to make things happen. And we went to Sundance and held this event, and there was a Palestinian protest at the same time in the town. There was a Jewish panel in the morning prior to the event, which I scheduled our event around, which was run by a Jew in the city, Alison Josephs, who runs the Hollywood Bureau for Positive Representation of Orthodox Jews in Film. Noah Tishby was one of the speakers there. She was actually then on the streets of the rally filming in front of the rally, counter protesting and having interesting conversations there. And at our event, I pitched it. Well, it's evolving. The thought process is evolving now. So I basically I've now opened them up to Jewish filmmakers and non-Jewish allies. Excuse me. So what we're really trying to do now is broaden it, because there is certainly a sense of we need friends. We need all the friends we can get. We need our community strengthened. And it's interesting bringing in non-Jewish allies to remind us, well, actually, we're not all on our own. Not everyone hates the Jews. So that's a nice positive outlook, isn't it? So there's more, and then there's more to it with what I'm trying to achieve, or what we're trying to achieve, is we're now really gathering steam, which is, I think, a 4-part mission, 4-part manifesto, and next week it may be 5. Who knows? It started off as 1, and the first one was very much, how can we create content online that's going to move the needle? By moving the needle, let's say you've got 3 groups of people: pro-Palestinians, pro-Jewish, pro-Israel, and the people who haven't decided. We're not going to bother having conversations with the pro-Palestinians. The majority are so utterly brainwashed or just completely dishonest in that, let's say, calling for a ceasefire, knowing full well Hamas has made it very clear, if Israel puts down its weapons, there'll be no more Israel, which I think was a Golden Mayer quote originally. So we're not bothering with the pro-Palestinian trolls to get it. With the Jews who are on the side, we are part of the community, but we don't need to persuade the people who are on the side. But what we're going for is the undecided voters, the people who haven't yet decided if they are pro-Israel or not. They know something's wrong. They know they're not quite being told the truth, but it's confusing when you've got this weight of evidence. And if we can put material out to move the needle, to bring them over to, I'm not going to say our side, but the side of humanity, because this is very much about humanity. And that will be a great result. So that's really one goal. Second goal is helping one another make movies, make our content as independent filmmakers. We very much want to do that. So it's supporting, we're stronger together. And then possibly the most important of all is bringing people together. There's a beautiful concept in Chabad Lubavitch of the year of Hakel every 7 years, drawing Jews together, which is one of the late Lubavitch Rebbe's key campaigns. So you bring Jews together in a room, having a community. And I'm very involved with the community as a Jewish educator, as a rabbi, all kinds of stuff. And I'm very aware at the same time that a lot of people in the entertainment industry are not necessarily regular shul goers. They may not have a regular community. And even if they do, having fellow people who are in the same industry, being in the same place, isn't happening as much. So if I can provide a space for that where we can come together without any spiritual agenda, any religious agenda, the only agenda is unification, achdut, coming together. So that's a key thing. So those are kind of our three core things. make movies which are going to move the needle, bring the undecided voters to the side of humanity. 2, help one another make those films. 3, bring all the people into one place. And then 4, invite in our friends. So inviting in the non-Jewish allies, which is that messaging is now about a week and a half old. And I'm keeping this organic because the narrative is changing with Israel. And the key thing, and then I'll take a breath, the key thing or a key example of the narrative changing, originally, Israel and Jews were victims for 3 days from October the 7th, the 8th and 9th until about the 10th. Then when Israel went in, suddenly Jews are the oppressors and Israel's the oppressor. And then it just keeps getting worse, basically. So there we go.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question that it takes a while to make films, as you very well know. So what can Jewish filmmakers do right now about creating content that can go up ASAP, as we might say?
I'm glad you've asked Phyllis, and I feel an extra affinity to your name because my late grandmother's name was Phyllis, Nana Phyllis. So yeah,
Was she named for a Fanny?
I
Probably.
don't know. Hebrew name was Fagel, but I'm not sure. But
yes, it's the same name.
Same name. Okay, there you go. So key question: what can people do right now? I'm going to quote my friend Jeremy Kagan. So Jeremy is a distinguished movie director and film professor. He's done 13 feature films, lots of TV channels, Emmy winner. He directed the film The Chosen, and which was towards the beginning of his career. And he said the key thing is volume and speed. And David Sachs, who's a producer, writer, Emmy winner, he's also part of our team. Thank God. And the focus is volume and speed. So create stuff quickly. Fastest answer is shoot something on your iPhone, or if you own an Android, that works too. Shoot something fast, edit it on the phone, get it up, put it online. Also, you can cut and you can repost things. You can make memes. You can take images, put them out there. You can do a slight twist on something which is already out there, or you find something you like and just keep reposting it. There are organizations. I mean, we're fighting an AI war, so we're fighting pro-Palestinian bots who are generating stuff, generating false imagery, but we counter it, and there's various things which are happening at the moment in order to begin countering that. So that's the fastest thing. And also, I think having, from a writer's perspective, write something that can be shot cheap and fast. So you can write a feature film, you can write $1 million effect shot blowing up a building, well, hopefully not. But although that said, I'm now going to contradict myself. People who are good at editing, you can actually buy pretty quickly templates and pre-done effects. So you can achieve a lot quickly. But I would say write something which is simple. And one thing I'm doing in our meetings at the moment is setting people the challenge in groups, saying, come up with an idea you can shoot within 3 weeks on 0 budget, or an almost no budget, or shoot within 2 weeks. Shoot, edit, produce on no budget, and get creative.
So wait a second. But what should they be creating? So give me an example. If you don't want to give a specific example, someone who's that's being
I'll
worked
give you an
on.
example. Sure, no, pleasure.
How can they give me an example of how a movie could really help?
So what we just shot recently. Okay, so we wanted to challenge this idea that Jews control the world, that Jews control the media, the weather, the finance system. So we came up with the JCC, the Jewish Conspiracy Channel's weekly Elders of Zion catch-up, where the Zionist overlords from around the world check in to say how they're controlling the planet. And the joke is that they're all completely incompetent, and we're not. Now, we shot it on a green screen, a friend directed it, I acted in it. We had about a few people writing. David Sachs co-produced it, and it's out there. We turned it around. Now we're coming in from the perspective of more experience industry-wise, but that was what spoke to us, and that was what we found funny. So we got out there. Actually, we should maybe we can put the link in the show notes.
Yes, yes.
And
You'll send me the
I'll
link.
send
Yeah.
it to the JCC, the Jewish Conspiracy Channel. Now, you could do other stuff. You could say, okay, I'm going to go to a rally and interview people for the brave of heart and point them right and put the facts right. Or you could write a song and film it and stick it on TikTok. Or you could, uh, I don't know, we did an animated film about Israel and showing all of the other states around Israel and comparing it to cake. That was an interesting one. Like so, but what I would so there's a couple of ways in. One is you come from the perspective of if you're a filmmaker or if you want to be a filmmaker, if you've got an idea, make it. If you need input, we've got a Jewish Filmmakers Network Facebook group which people can join, can collaborate with other people. We can put you in touch with people. If you want ideas, get in touch. We've got loads of ideas. If you want help generating ideas, we can help you generate ideas. You can always use ChatGPT, but I think it might be a bit anti-Semitic. I asked it for some pro-Israel thing, and it just, for the first time ever, it was like, sorry, I can't do that. I'm thinking, all right. But it's kind of do it, like just do it. Take biblical ideas. Go, I don't know when this episode's coming up. Purim, the festival of Purim is next month. Pesach, Passover is coming. Take an idea. Take something you like. Tell a story. Speak about why you love Israel. Film yourself. What's your first memory of Israel? Film yourself. What's your favorite thing about being Jewish? Have some challah. Talk about challah. Have an Israeli flag. Say what it means to you. Talk about your first trip to Israel. Write a poem about it. Write a song. Do an interpretive dance.
And
I
then,
could keep on coming. Keep on
right.
going.
But then I want to clarify, you're not waiting for traditional movie distribution. For example, when you say do a movie, put it up on YouTube or some other, your own website, etc., and share it and share it and share it.
Share it and share it, and be obsessive. Be bold and be obsessive. So I've got a marketing consultancy, Freed Thinking, and I help companies who are growing and somewhat established with their messaging through film, promo film, websites, and marketing channels, digital marketing, advertising, and so on, Google ads, Facebook ads, and so on. And I like the omnipresence idea, which Gary Vee talks about. So I've got, I don't know, like 11 social media channels or something. And it's just make noise, shoot something, put it out there. Like you've got YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, etc. Like Vimeo, like just kind of keep on going. Like just keep on going.
Well, what's been the response though? Have you been getting attacked? And shall we talk about people being having the courage?
Halavai, if only I'd been attacked. Like I need to get more reach so that I can get more trolls. I'm currently lacking enough trolls. No, like the response has been, well, the response to the meetings when I'm putting the flag up saying, right, let's the metaphorical flag, Jewish filmmakers, non-Jewish allies, come on and get together. We're in LA, London, online, Sundance, New York, wherever we're doing it. Thank God there's a lot of response, and I feel it's growing. More people are, and this is why I want to make it as available as possible across the world. We'll start with across the States, then Europe, but also Israel. So that's a great response. We're only now starting to get our stuff out there, and I'm not over measuring the responses very deliberately because I'm still a sensitive artist. As actor, writer, filmmaker, like put a lot of work putting something out there. It would be easier to get a lot more hits if I was a hot 20-year-old girl putting up bikini photos. Like that's a fast way to get hits. I'm not. So it's also like you can't control virality. I mean, unless you put massive amounts of spending and funding in, but even
Exactly.
then it's pretty hard. So it's more a case of just do the best we can, put it out there, hope for the best, use all the channels we can, hope for the best. as a Jew, pray a bit, have emunah, a bit of trust, bitachon, faith and trust, and we do our best, keep on trucking. And as Winston Churchill said, success is going from disappointment to disappointment with no loss of enthusiasm.
Oh, I like that quote. Tell us a little bit about your background. We can all hear your accent. So tell us about
I
yourself.
don't have an accent.
Of course you do.
Got the accent. No, this is the way it's meant to be spoken. It's the King's English. I grew up in a town called Watford in Hertfordshire. It's actually where they've got Leavesden Studios, the Warner Brothers Studios, where they shot Harry Potter and Star Wars and parts of it, and James Bond and so on. And I grew up traditional, so part of an Orthodox shul, but not religiously observant, but traditional. So we'd go to synagogue and so on. And then at university, and my undergrad was drama and English theatre studies and English literature in Birmingham University in England, became observant there, keeping Shabbat. After university, I went to yeshiva in Israel, to a seminary, which was great. And that was like catching up what I felt was lost, missed education. And then I did a master's in English literature and eventually went to drama school, conservatoire in London, called Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. And then various other qualifications on the way to yoga teacher training certificates.
I saw that on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Is it still there? Yeah. And rabbinic certification, smicha, as it's called, and along the way, writing my own plays. So I wrote a series of one-man plays, biblical comedies. We shot a lot of corporate videos over the years. Used to take actors into business, doing training with West End London city firms. And I wrote 3 books on yoga and Torah called the Kosher Sutras, the Kabbalah Sutras, and the Festive Sutras, and co-founded the Jewish Yoga Network. And so lots of stuff, and then lived in America for about, well, it's been a 15-year span, although I did move to England for 3 years during the pandemic, which was an experience. But now I'm back in America. God bless America.
Because I think your LinkedIn still says that you live in England, just to tell you that.
I will make a note.
Yes, because it
But it's good to keep people guessing by coastal, by country. I don't know what it is, something like that. Transit, coastal, transatlantic. Yeah, who knows? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it threw me off a little. So obviously, as a filmmaker myself, and as someone who is a conservative observant Jew, having started my road to observing Kashrut and Shabbat when my husband and I were stationed in Munich, Germany in September 1970 through May 72, only 25 years after the Holocaust, which is why I'm sitting here today interviewing you. And also being a journalist from undergraduate education, I'm very concerned with messaging. I grew up in the town of Elgin, Illinois. I was the only Jewish kid most of the time in my class. In the last year and a half, I've been doing projects remotely with Elgin, with non-Jewish high school kids, and I've seen the amazing, amazing results that can happen if you're creative. I mean, if you come with a creative idea and you get enthusiasm and you get the students invested. So in fact, as a plug for last summer, Elgin School District offered a summer internship. They paid the teacher. The kids didn't have to pay tuition, 19 kids. They got credit if they did it. They each made a short documentary on anti-Semitism, and we're now editing it for a feature-length film. And now we're discussing this next summer, doing the same thing. And the topic will be broader. It will be tolerance for the other. It starts with education.
Great.
And those are the kinds of things that everyone, even someone who's not a filmmaker, can encourage other filmmakers to do. So give us, we have a lot of grassroots people listening. Give our listeners an idea how they might encourage their kids, their friends to become Jewish filmmakers, to join your work and really add their contributions.
I think it's I mean, question like how much can a parent actually encourage a child to do something if they don't want to do it? Like, or as opposed if they do want to do it. So, like it would be more of a sort of psychological aspect. I think like the easiest thing is if they're interested. Firstly, see if they're interested. Secondly, one way of doing that is to ask the question, oh, would you be interested in making a film or making a short video? Maybe film could sound too oppressive, but make a short video, short movie that is positive about Israel or positive about being Jewish. If it's a yes, great. Do you know what to do? Yes, fine, go and do it. Or if they don't know what to do, even if they do, like tell them to get in touch. Like join our Facebook group, come to the website. The website was going to be launched in a couple of weeks' time, but it certainly starts by coming to the Facebook group, drop me an email, and we can start helping you get connected. I'm also part of an organization called We Make Movies, which is a probably the largest independent filmmakers organization based initially in Los Angeles, but now around the States and also with chapters in England and elsewhere. And the focus has been, or one of the programs has been called the Smartphone Studio Workshop, where filmmakers went into underprivileged areas, Native American reserves in the States or Compton and East LA and so on, and really looking at, okay, teaching kids how you can shoot a film and edit it using your iPhone. Now, parents organizing with the children, another way is to pay them. I'm not really a fan of, I'm a fan of capitalism, huge fan of capitalism, but I like the idea of also social activism. But you know, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, one thing beginning to toy around with is doing a Jewish student filmmakers contest where we can give away prizes to the best films and running a competition and then having a small film festival based on that. So that's another idea that's in the mix. But I would say with the parents, the biggest question here, my wonderful advice on parenting as someone who has not had the opportunity to become a parent yet, is find out where their enthusiasm is. An easy way to do this is give them exposure to a few things. Show them a video about filmmaking. Give them a piece of like, you know, are they good artists? Are they good writer? What are they? Nurture that, and then see if you can channel that energy within this pro-Israel, pro-Jewish messaging.
And I would also add education is important, that to
Mm.
realize how much your teenage children, now I'm going to talk distinctly about teens, don't know. I will give an example of, without naming the school, I was talking to the president of a Jewish fraternity at a major American university about anti-Semitism on the campus. And I mentioned Kristallnacht, and he didn't know what I meant. And then he said, oh, yeah, I was in Israel this summer on a program. I kind of remember. So I've been sending him some books to share it at the fraternity. So I think one of the problems is that parents may not realize how little their own children, now I'm talking Jewish children, non-Jewish, totally different subject area, may not know, and may not know how to answer anti-Semitism and anti-Israel hate. And even parents sharing their knowledge, just simple, such as in 1947, the UN divided this land. I mean, yes, it may sound really simple to you and me, but I'm telling you, it is not simple to teens today. They do not realize that. One of the things I always try and get, so I'll use this podcast too, is to reemphasize that in 2005, Israel left Gaza. My husband and I were on a mission. We were literally in Sderot on that Sunday when the Israeli troops came south to pull all the Israeli settlers out of Gaza. So Israel has not been occupying, I don't even want to use the word occupying, but it's not been in Gaza since 2005.
No.
And I think many Jewish parents have not told their teens that when people say to them at college campuses, stop occupying Gaza, that Israel wasn't there on October
Well, I think
7th.
it's also, and it's interesting. Yeah, I was in Jerusalem actually in that time when it happened. The it, I think Part of the issue as well is that it not everyone is down with the specifics of advocacy and how to answer these questions. And there are great resources out there. Stand With Us has got some fantastic resources on their website, downloadable booklets. Here's how to answer the questions. I use those as Stand With Us as one of the top resources on answering the challenges against Israel. So it starts with parents educating, everyone educating themselves. How do you answer these basic questions? And if you want the top three, top five, what do you say when someone says Israel is an oppressor? When you say Israel is an occupier? When you say Israel is perpetuating apartheid or perpetuating genocide? Like, be able just to rip them apart very quickly, because there are fast answers. Like, yes, Israel completely withdrew in 2005 from Gaza. There have been at least 7 offers on the table for a Palestinian state, and there's still one on the table, and they've turned down every single one. They don't want a ceasefire. The Palestinian population has risen by it's something like 435% in 70 years. That's not a genocide, that's a population boom. 20% of Israel or something are Israeli Arabs. There are Israeli Arabs in the Supreme Court, CEOs, etc. It's not perfect, but know how to just, without thinking, reel off some basic facts. Do an hour's work, do 5 hours work, it's there. 10 minutes work, it's there.
But
Have a little cheat sheet. Have a little cheat sheet. Put it on your phone. Just have these 5 answers.
yes, Evelyn and I have done a lot with podcasts about helping people know what to say, but also calmly. The minute you push back angrily, you're over. It's over. And again, I think you said something very, very important at the beginning. It doesn't work with people who are so brainwashed, pro-Palestinian. It's just, that's not.
Forget it. Just don't waste your breath. Don't waste the pixels. Just walk away. And if it means cutting off friends, cut them off, because friends like that, who needs them? Don't rush to cut people off. Give them a little chance, but then just say, okay, thanks, bye.
Right.
Focus. Be with the community. Be with the community.
It's kind of like you say, if someone says, a friend just told me something that someone had told her in 1985, an anti-Semitic comment. At the time, she said nothing. So, but my point is, if someone says something, before you cut them off, see if you can explain it to them and they understand it. But then if they just repeat, I don't want to say the party line, but a totally misunderstood concept, then it's kind of a clue that they're not open to learning what actually are the facts.
Right. Exactly. However, there are 2 scenarios at least where it's not so easy. One is, let's say you're someone who's part of an interfaith family, or with extreme left-wing Jews in the family who are all pro-Palestinian and like coming out with all the nonsense. You got to figure out a way to do it, and everyone's going to have to figure out for themselves. The easiest way is saying, we are not going to discuss politics. We will focus on what unites us. We will approach, acknowledge what divides us, and we just will not talk politics. So that's one. 2 is minimize contact if you need to. 3, or the other situation is within a workplace. So I ran a webinar. I've got another project going called Shalom Lev, Peaceful Heart, where we go into businesses. I've got my business trainer hat on in this scenario. I'm taking a clinical psychologist, and it's for Jewish employees, supporting Jewish employees, and for the HR departments. So let's say you're a Jewish employee in a company, your colleague is posting a load of pro-Palestinian stuff, Israel's oppressors, social media. Your work has nothing to do with that, but you're aware of this person's view, or a bunch of your guys. You have to work. You can't necessarily just quit your job and walk away. Let's say you're not in a position to do that. Then what do you do? So how do you manage it? By the way, no one's really doing content. Is anyone doing content? I haven't seen any content on this. This is another idea, which I think could be helpful, is how to manage in that situation, like what you can do in that situation. So
I think
that's
it's
another.
very important.
Maybe I should do some
make a
videos.
note.
Maybe I should do some videos on that. Okay.
Yes, because it's very important. I was at a meeting of a federation program only a few days after October 7th, it switched from whatever the topic was to the other. Again, I won't identify the major entertainment talent agency where it was, but I was interested that one of the agents in that particular agency where we were meeting, they had just, so there are several Jews, of course, working in this agency, but they had just organized kind of a either WhatsApp or Slack group because they felt they needed the support.
Right.
And, I think starting an affinity group, which is kind of what they're called, at your organization can be very important and can be done very easily. It's just,
Well, not always, though. At first, it's a great idea, but for example, the Directors Guild of America, the DGA, they've been for months now trying to fight to get a Jewish committee, and there's been massive resistance because the anti-Semites at the DGA were saying, no, Jews are a religion, not a race, and we don't do religions. That was effectively the argument, and my friend Jeremy Kagan was at the forefront of this. They had 300 signatures, finally got a letter, and it's just been received and it's just accepted. And I think it's coming to place now. Same with the Writers Guild, the WGA. And there can absolutely be resistance to having a Jewish committee. Be different if you're trans or African American or women or Asian, different thing. So the world's changing. It's not going to go back in a hurry. And people, but I think on your point, you can also, if you can't get it accepted by the HR department or the DI department, then just do it yourself. Just do it on the quiet.
yeah, so
Do it on the
that's
quiet and be loud.
right. But that is what I'm saying. I have again, I don't, a relative that is more isolated in his position. And I could tell that he was hurting. So I opened, so we have to be sensitive to our family relationship the other way. So I started a conversation to kind of give him support. So, because young people are really hurting when they're in work situations in which they don't have support. So if there are enough people to start an informal support, even, just on Slack, one of the private Slack channels, so that you
Sure.
don't feel you're all alone. And you can learn, you can share information so that you have answers.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, it's interesting you mentioned Slack. Yeah, one client who's heavy into Slack is a copywriting client. You know what? I'm going to not say that because this is an unedited podcast.
Yes.
I've just edited myself mid-sentence. Please
Okay, that's
continue.
okay. That's okay. That's fine. We're coming to the end of this really enlightened conversation. I'd like to give you a chance to say what you think we've missed in this conversation that you'd like to share with our listeners.
I would say a few things. Thank you for this. One is if you're a filmmaker and you haven't done anything, do something. Get in touch. Come to the Facebook group, Jewish Filmmakers Network, or by my email, marcus@freedthinking.com. We can put that in the link too. And be in touch. And we'll put you in touch with other filmmakers. So the Facebook group is a great place to start with the Jewish Filmmakers Network. If you're interested in doing an event near you or online by remote with other people interested, they don't have to be filmmakers. I'm now broadening it even more for people who want to get involved. It could be someone who says, hey, I've always wanted to make a film, or we had a dentist came to our event the other night, or an entertainment lawyer, or someone who's an accountant who's in the business. Let's get you into action. We'll take Noah's advice of be confident as a Jew. So learn some Torah, get learning, get connected to your Judaism in a way that's meaningful. There are many great resources. Chabad.org is a great place to start.
Noah Tisby's book, Israel, is a really good place to start in terms of learning facts that you can then calmly say to people.
Right. Absolutely. And be bold, be brave, and make something. If you want to make something you're not feeling brave enough, get in touch. We'll help boost it. Or we'll get someone else to front it. You can write it. You can be the marionette. There's enough actors who want attention. I mean, to do creative work.
Exactly.
So that we got people who are raring to go. So just get involved. Now is the time. We need you. The fire is alive, and also we are at war. So there is the battlefront in Gaza, there's the battlefront in Lebanon, and there is the battlefront online. We're up against an army of pro-Palestinians, Jew haters, the anti-Semites, and the bots. And we are small, but we will win, but we need your help. And this is the age for storytellers. On Pesach, Passover, we have the central part of the Seder night, Magid, which is telling the story. Judaism is storytelling. We need you to tell our story. And it's through your great stories that we can win the hearts and minds of people over to humanity. So get filming.
That is a wonderful, wonderful last statement. I thank you, Marcus. I thank our listeners. For those of you who want to know more about me or Evelyn or our work, go to Never Again Is Now podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And as we end every podcast, we say, please speak up against anti-Semitism and all hate.